Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to our Department of State webinar being held during voter. I'm Lauren and I'm the Assistant Secretary of State. Thank you for joining us for our program today. We truly appreciate you participating because you have all been tremendous partners in our work together. You and your organizations are trusted voices in the communities, and we recognize that the communities you serve throughout New Jersey need to hear from trusted voices when it comes to our democracy. Today, we're going to be discussing the upcoming 2021 general election, and we'll also share various Department of State voting and civic engagement initiatives. To get our program started, it's my pleasure to introduce our Secretary of State, Tahisha Wade. As Secretary of State, she holds one of the nation's oldest constitutional offices and leads a department with a diverse portfolio. She serves as New Jersey's top election official, overseeing the State Division of Elections and its work in securing our democracy and ensuring broad, fair access to the right to vote. Secretary Wade also chaired the New Jersey's Complete Count Commission to encourage full participation in the 2020 census. In addition to this critical work, she also oversees the state government offices supporting New Jersey's vibrant arts, culture, history, and business communities. Welcome, Secretary.
Thank you, Lauren, and good afternoon. Happy Voter Education Week to everyone on, and thank you for joining us. It is my honor to serve all of you and our great state as the Secretary of State and Chief Election Officer. My team and I care deeply about protecting our elections, ensuring fair and equal access to the ballot for all, and of course, making sure voters are informed in every election. We have worked to improve voter experience, implement measures to expand access to the ballot box, and strengthen protections for our election infrastructure. We've overseen changes that made registration more convenient, like automatic and online voter registration. And before the pandemic, we brought all of our counties together for a statewide election security tabletop exercise that included 14 other state delegations and our partners in federal government. We continue to benefit from this program as it has helped us strengthen our preparedness plans and our relationships with our colleagues across government for when we need to work together or learn from each other. Not only last year, while we worked to ensure our elections that were not only free and fair, but safe and healthy, we did implement the installation, as you're aware, of secure ballot drop boxes to allow voters the ability to safely and quickly return their ballots directly to their appropriate election officials. And now, in the latest effort to make democracy more convenient for New Jersey voters, we are going to have in-person early voting for the first time in our state's history coming very soon. Now, on the civic engagement front, my team and I have kicked off our 4th annual ballot bowl where college students compete to register individuals and have them also pledge to vote. We will be continuing to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the 26th Amendment, which lowered the voting age to 18. And now we are indeed launching Democracy in Action NJ, the New Jersey Civic Engagement Hub, a program and website that focuses on voter engagement, particularly with a laser focus on our youth voters. You can find out about it at engage.nj.gov for more. In sum, after every election, we have evaluated how we can do things better for voters and election workers. And that will truly continue to be the case. So thank you again for joining us this afternoon, and I'm going to turn things back over to you, Lauren, my Assistant Secretary of State, and of course to Eric, who will be presenting our voter education webinar. Thanks, Lauren and Eric.
Thank you so much, Secretary. Thank you. And now, Yumi, if you could please start the PowerPoint. So with misinformation and disinformation on the rise, it can be hard for voters to sift through the correct and incorrect information. That's why we're here today, because we want to help you empower the voters you serve and ensure that they know the facts when it comes to participating in our elections. And of course, we will discuss our civic engagement efforts. The same as last year, we are conducting a robust elections education campaign. As you can see, here's our logo, New Jersey Votes, safe, simple, and secure. Next slide, please. Here's our agenda for today. We'll do some highlights and we'll go through everything you need to know for the upcoming election. Next slide. So let's start with some 2020 census highlights, because I know that a lot of you joining us today helped in this effort. With Census 2020, we now have almost 9.3 million residents, and that's an increase of almost 500,000 from 2010. We had the highest self-response in 30 years, so that's thanks to you and all our partners. And we actually had 14 New Jersey counties that were in the top self-response in our entire region. Next slide, please. Here are some of our 2020 election highlights. We had the highest records of ballots cast. We surpassed 4 million votes. In regards to nation voter turnout, New Jersey ranked 8th in the country. And what I think we should all be very proud of is that New Jersey had the highest youth voter turnout in the nation. Next slide, please. Very important. Let's start with voter registration. The deadline is Tuesday, October 12th. We want to remind everyone that they can check their registration status by going to Vote.NJ.Gov and checking in, am I registered to vote? Also very important is last year, we launched online voter registration. In the 6 weeks that we had online voter registration last year from September to the deadline, we had over 400,000 people either register to vote or update their records. So please, this weekend, we're going to be reminding voters on your social media. You have 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, last day. You will see our social media reminding everyone that October 12th is the voter registration deadline for this upcoming election. So please, again, visit Vote.NJ.Gov and make sure that you're registered to vote. Next slide, please. So for this election, we have 3 ways that you can participate in the election, and we'll go through all of these ways. We have our vote by mail ballot, our in-person early voting, and at your polling location on election day. Here's a flyer. We wanted to make sure that you know that we have flyers on our website that indicate all the ways that you can vote. Next slide, please. So let's start with vote by mail. Applications can be found at Vote.NJ.Gov. They are specific to your county, or you can also reach out to your county clerk. These deadlines are important. If you want a voter to receive the ballot in the mail, the county clerk's office needs to have the application in their office by October 26th. Not postmarked, physically in the office by October 26th. Now, if you still want to vote by mail and you missed the October 26th deadline, you can still go in person at your county clerk's office. The deadline is November 1st by 3 p.m. Some of the county clerk's offices have weekend hours, so you could probably go on a Saturday or Sunday, but just please double check those times with your county clerk's office. Next slide. Now, we want to remind everyone, if you're voting by mail, it's simple. Vote, sign, seal, and return. So of course, you will receive items in the mail. You'll see the bottom picture to the right. It will have an envelope. Most of the counties will have instructions. You'll have, of course, the ballot, and then an attachment, a certificate, and an outer envelope where you're going to mail your vote by mail back. We want to remind everyone, vote, very important. Sign the certificate, and here you can see this is an example of the certificate. Sometimes voters do not sign the certificate. It's very important. You need to sign. Of course, seal and then return it. Vote, sign, seal, and return. Next slide. How can we return our vote by mail? Several different ways. You can either return it in the mail. It has to be postmarked 8 p.m. November 2nd. Also, last year, we were very happy with the governor and the legislature. We established the secure ballot drop boxes. You will find these secure ballot drop boxes throughout your county. And these, you need to make sure that you're returning your vote by mail to your specific ballot drop box in your county. And that deadline is, again, 8 p.m. on November 2nd. I hear that voters love the secure ballot drop boxes. And of course, you can find those locations at our website, Vote.NJ.Gov. If you cannot return it by mail or can't return secure ballot drop box, you can always go to your Board of Elections office. And again, that deadline is November 2nd, 8 p.m. And we would also just remind you to make sure that you check the hours for your local offices. Very important for this year because there are some changes from last year's election to this year's election. You cannot return your vote by mail to either your early voting location or your polling place for this election. Last year, we know that some voters returned their vote by mail at their polling location. We just want to make sure that you know that you can return it by mail, secure ballot drop box, or at your Board of Elections office, and you cannot return it in person at your early voting location or at your polling place for this election. Next slide, please. Track my ballot for vote by mail. We get a lot of phone calls from voters asking, I'm not sure if the counties have sent me my ballot. I'm not sure if the counties have received my ballot. We have Track My Ballot on Vote.NJ.Gov. You create an account and you'll be able to see whether the county has sent you the vote by mail ballot, whether they are in a receipt of the vote by mail ballot as well. Some of the other items, such as whether the vote by mail is accepted or rejected, will occur at some point after the election, and you will be able to see that as well in Track Ballot. But this is helpful if you want to see whether the county has already sent you a vote by mail ballot. So we encourage everybody to create an account with Track My Ballot, again, Vote.NJ.Gov. And if you have any issues, just reach out to our office. Next slide. In-person early voting. So the Governor Murphy and the legislature enacted in-person early voting, and it takes effect this year. So here are the dates for in-person early voting. Saturday, October 23rd through Sunday, October 31st. These are 9 additional days of in-person machine voting. This is an option that our voters have. All of the locations will be open from Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are approximately 140 locations throughout the state for in-person early voting. The locations will vary from county. You will have either 3 locations or 10 locations. So we will encourage everyone to visit Vote.NJ.Gov to look at your early voting sites. Of course, during early voting, there will be some differences. For example, we will have now electronic poll books. And the electronic poll books, you will be signing. So we will also have some signage at the polling locations, early voting locations, just reminding everyone to make sure that you sign, because it's like a tablet that you see at the supermarket. So we just want to make sure that your signature is the best signature. So you'll have electronic poll books. Some of the changes also are that some counties will have new voting machines, and the counties are doing our job in educating the voters in their counties regarding their specific voting equipment. So we would also encourage you to visit your local county websites and see their uploads of their videos specifically to early voting. We also have videos on our website regarding the in-person early voting. And very important, you can go to any of your early voting locations, but we need to remind everyone that it's in your county. So go to a location within your county. Next slide, please. Here is a flyer that we have on our website, top 5 things to know about in-person early voting. What is it? Where can I access it? If you always vote by mail, just be aware if you received it. If you show up at an early voting location, you will be provided a provisional ballot. And of course, we still want to let voters know what are the other options that they have for voting in this election. Next slide, please. Las 5 cosas que debes saber sobre la votación temprana en persona. The reason why we have this flyer here in Spanish is because we also want to let you know that we have all of these flyers translated. So we have English, Spanish, Korean, Chinese, Gujarati, Punjabi, Hindi, Portuguese, Haitian, Creole, Arabic. So we have several other languages on our website that have all of this information. So just want to make sure that if you want to reach out to your community, the information is in other languages as well. Next slide, please. So some of the key dates for this upcoming general election. We have September 18th here, just as a reminder that if you are a vote by mail voter, that you should have received your vote by mail ballot at this point. If you have not, please reach out to your county clerk's office. Now, again, very important deadline, October 12th, deadline to register to vote for the general election. Again, we encourage all of you to register online, and we still have the paper forms, but you can go to our online voter registration platform. The in-person early voting period starts in like 2 weeks, Saturday, October 23rd through Sunday, October 31st. Again, Monday through Saturday is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Of October 26th is the deadline for the vote by mail. If you want to receive your vote by mail in the mail, the county clerk's office needs to have the application by the 26th in their office. And of course, just reminding you that you can also go to the county clerk's office in person, deadline November 1st, 3 p.m. And if you didn't vote by mail and you didn't go in person early voting, of course, we have Election Day, November 2nd. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Next slide. Vote.NJ.Gov. I think every other word that we say at the Secretary of State's office is Vote.NJ.Gov, because we have created a one-stop shop for everything that's elections related. We want to make sure that it's easy for you and for our voters to get the information that you need to participate in the elections. So here's an image of our page. If you need to register to vote, you need to check if you're registered to vote. How can I vote? We went through the 3 ways. vote by mail, in-person early voting, and on election day. But also very important, we have the locations for the secure ballot drop boxes. We have the locations for the in-person early voting, and we have the locations for your polling places. So if you ever need to check locations, and of course, they're not the same. The early voting locations might not be the same as your polling locations. So we have all of this up on our page, and we are on a daily contact with the counties to ensure that we have the most up-to-date information. And in Vote.NJ.Gov, we have several flyers that we ask for you to distribute and disseminate. And as you can see, that we have October 12th highlighted on our important dates for the upcoming election, and we'll continue to highlight the important date that's coming up. So of course, October 12th. And now we just want to show you one of the videos that we have up on our website as well. Next slide, please.
Here are the 3 ways you can vote in the upcoming general election. Option 1, vote by mail ballot. Registered voters can apply for a vote by mail ballot by following the instructions found at Vote.NJ.Gov or by contacting their county clerk. If you applied and have received your vote by mail ballot, just vote, sign, seal, and return it by 8 p.m. on November 2nd. Either return your ballot by mail, place it in one of the secure ballot drop boxes located throughout your county.
That's just our internet connection.
Your county Board of Elections office. For more information and a step-by-step guide to voting by mail, visit Vote.NJ.Gov. Option 2, in-person early voting. This new option allows registered voters to cast their ballot in person using a voting machine during a 9-day period prior to Election Day. You can now choose to vote in person when it's most convenient for your schedule. No matter where you live in the county, you can vote your specific ballot at any of your county's designated in-person early voting locations. In-person early voting locations will be open Saturday, October 23rd through Sunday, October 31st. Hours will be Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. No appointment is necessary. Find your county's in-person early voting locations at Vote.NJ.Gov. Option 3. Vote your specific ballot in person at your polling place on Election Day, November 2nd, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Find your polling place at Vote.NJ.Gov. Accommodations will be made for voters with disabilities. Remember, you cannot return your vote by mail ballot to your early voting location or polling place this year. Safe, simple, secure. No matter which option you choose, please vote by 8 p.m. November 2nd. Get all the details at Vote.NJ.Gov.
Thank you, Yomi. So we just wanted to make sure this is just one video that we have. We have vote by mail videos as well. These are great to send emails and include the video and just let your community know the different ways that they can vote. So please share our Vote.NJ.Gov and share our videos. Of course, poll workers. We have great news for poll workers. We have right now $21.44 an hour. That's the pay rate for in-person early voting. And we have $300 for election day. We are encouraging everyone to please visit pollworker.nj.gov and apply. We in turn send all of the applications to the counties. We are of course, encouraging everyone, including college and high school students. It's not only about earning some additional money, but it's also about participating in our democracy. So pollworker.nj.gov, there's still some time. Next slide, please. Here is our updated flyer for poll workers. The other very important item that I want to let you know is that the residency requirement has been removed. So you can actually work in any county in the state if you're registered to vote. That's part of the executive order that Governor Murphy just signed. So not only was there an increase in pay, but there was also the removal of the residency requirement. This could be helpful, for example, to students that might be in school in one county, but might be registered in another county. So as you can see in this flyer, it reflects you may work in any county in the state, not just the one in which you're registered to vote. And it clearly states the $21.44 per hour for in-person early voting and the $300 for election day. And for this election also, there is an additional $30 when you attend the required training, and of course, when you complete your work at the polls. Next slide, please. Now I want to introduce my colleague, Eric Kipnis, Manager of Constituent Relations, so that he can talk to us about our civic engagement efforts with all of the great partners that we have today on the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Hello again, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you all again for attending. We have a tremendous turnout here today. It's really very, very encouraging to see this. Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Civic Engagement Hub, our brand new Civic Engagement Hub, and our Civic Engagement Program, and a little bit about what civic engagement is all about as far as the Department of State is concerned. So as Secretary Way said, we are launching our Civic Engagement Hub, Democracy in Action NJ. But before I talk about the hub itself, I want to talk a little bit about our thinking behind this project about civic engagement. Civic engagement is a core piece of our mission here at the Department of State. As many of you know, over the last 2 years, until recently, we were involved in the Census, which was probably the largest civic engagement activity we've seen in this state in quite some time. More importantly, it was an opportunity, even more importantly in some ways, it was an opportunity to build on something going forward. The Census response rate was great. All those numbers are great. That is going to mean a lot of extra dollars, federal dollars for the state, and more accurate representation. But one of the outcomes of that census effort was a coalition of folks across organizations and people across the state that helped in their communities. And we want to expand on that, and we want to build on that. And so you might ask yourself, so how is voting and civic engagement related? Well, from our point of view, voting and civic engagement are absolutely intertwined. And when you think about it, voting is indeed really a function of civic engagement. Your vote doesn't just affect you. It affects your family, your friends, your entire community. And when you vote, you're also voting for them too. And in many cases, for those who can't vote for themselves. The same holds true for civic engagement. It affects both you and your community. Civic engagement and voting are not only linked, they directly affect the quality of life in your community. And here's how. We believe that the more residents that are the more residents are invested in the success and the quality of public life of their communities, the greater their investment in what happens in their community, and the greater the likelihood that they will participate in elections and ask other community members to do the same. Something will be at stake, particularly at the local and state level. That's not to disrespect our federal elections. They're the high profile elections, but we all know, all of us here on this call, that it's at the state and local and county level that our governing takes place. So, you know, if we can get folks to participate at a community level, the result will be voting with some organizing, then becomes a sustained community activity. And that's what we want to have happen. The cumulative results will be a better informed and engaged community participating in really what the Constitution intended, self-governing. So how does Democracy in Action NJ fit into this? Well, Democracy in Action NJ, or the Civic Engagement Hub, is a multifaceted Department of State program and website. So they're kind of combined with each other. That will serve as a hands-on clearinghouse aimed at making voting a sustainable community value and norm. You'll hear us say that a lot. At least you'll hear me say that a lot. Lauren too. So for starters, there's a brand new civic engagement website at engage.nj.gov, and it's a component of the program. But the program itself has broader goals. Again, making voting sustainable and community-based, not just a singular activity. Many people think, you know, they only vote for themselves. Obviously, not. From our point of view, that's not. We don't think that's the case. We'll have a particular focus on young voters. If we can build community groups to work on voting, the intent is to bring young voters into that mix and get them involved early. We all know that the earlier young people get involved, the earlier they vote, the more likely it is that they will build on that and make that a habit. And that's what we want. We want people to continue to vote. Now, part of the hub, and you'll see any number of programs up there when you go and visit it, but a core piece of the hub is what we call, the acronym is NJ ACE, and it's the New Jersey Alliance for Civic Engagement, and it is a core program of Democracy in Action NJ. What is it? Well, it's a statewide coalition whose goal it is to make voting a community activity, a sustainable community activity, and to get people involved in their communities. You know, a lot like our Census Partner Coalition, we intend NJAs to be comprised of a cross-section of participants, including community groups, civic organizations, nonprofits, business organizations, labor, the education community, the faith community, and others who will work to promote and support voter and civic engagement. Special emphasis, as I mentioned, on youth, and this is where that's going to happen for the most part. In NJ ACE. And to assist in these efforts, we'll provide support to groups whose goal it is to encourage residents to participate in the public functioning of their communities. And I mentioned this a little earlier. One of our ideas, much like we did during the census, is to help communities organize nonpartisan voter action teams along the lines of the local complete count committees that many of you were part of. And help to run. In any case, we're going to send out more information next week about the Democracy in Action NJ, and at that time we're going to ask people who are interested and groups who are interested in hearing more or taking part in it to let us know. In the meantime, check us out at engage.nj.gov. Next slide. Okay. So I wouldn't be a good organizer if I didn't make an ask. So this is by way of what you can do now to help with civic engagement for this election. So we always want you to encourage your network and followers to go to Vote.NJ.Gov. It is the one-stop shop for voters. It was designed and built for voters for the most up-to-date information for the election. We're going to be sharing posts. In fact, we're in the middle of planning an email, so you're going to get another email from us. Sorry about that, folks. This is a busy time of year for emails, but we'll share posts highlighting all of the upcoming elections in New Jersey. Just watch Facebook and Instagram and our Twitter accounts for all that information as well. And feel free to share anything that we post. And when you do share it, please use the hashtag NJVotes so we can like and share your posts as well. And the last piece is another ask for the Engagement Hub. Go to our new Civic Engagement Hub, Democracy in Action NJ at engage.nj.gov. As I said before, it is a hands-on clearinghouse for civic engagement. And I'll turn it back over to Lauren.
Next slide, please. Just want to remind everyone, Eric, that was great. Thank you. Want to remind everyone about Vote.NJ.Gov. Again, one-stop shop for all election-related things, online voter registration, locations, etc. Also, we want to remind everyone that we do have a hotline, a voter hotline, 1-877 New Jersey Voter, that if you need to let your voters know on election day as well, that we have this hotline.
Around this picture for him. Some things.
Next slide, please. Here's our contact information. Please take it down. We can also
time, efforts and work.
We're going to need people to mute. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll put this information in the chat as well, our emails. We will make this PowerPoint available, and we will try to put it up on our website as well in case you just need to download it. So we definitely want to share this information with you.